Welcome to Opening Doors, and it is always good to connect with former teammates. But most importantly, a lot of people don't really understand that coming to Vanderbilt, I came up during the summertime. I wasn't taking any classes. The coach was like, hey, we're going to stick you with the upperclassman guy to stay with. You know, you can crash on this couch, hang out, whatever, come to practice, chill, hang out. So that's what I did. You know, I came up in June, got a chance to stay with him. And here we are, man. A couple years later, my guy Kelechi Ohanaja. Man, listen, it is good to see you first and foremost. But secondly, where's my spaghetti plate? Like that's all we ate, man. You know, like that's all we
great value spaghetti.
We ate great value spaghetti like just about every night. Like I'm not even fabricating this. Like that was like the go-to meal. Like we didn't have any Vandy card money that we can go out and eat. There weren't like any stipends. You know, I was up for the summer, so I was on my own. Man, those were the good old days.
Those were the good old days in the Akron Dome.
In Akron. So who taught you how to cook?
My mom. So I am Nigerian. So one of the things about being Nigerian is you don't really get a childhood. So by the time I was 10, I was kind of running the house. So I just learned how to cook by watching my mom cook. So I think whenever I got to college, I was pretty well prepared to live on my own, just because as the first son, I kind of assumed the responsibility as the parent in charge whenever my parents were gone. So just from that, that's how I just learned how to cook. And whenever we got to college and I had my own place wherever I could cook, I was ready to do that. Hence why we were able to stretch spaghetti, add a little water, add some sugar. That spaghetti will last for 2 or 3 days.
So here's what's going to happen. There's going to be somebody that's going to watch this. They're going to say, oh, he just cooked spaghetti. Like that, spaghetti ain't hard to cook. But it sort of is, because if you just making this plain spaghetti, you don't sauce it up, you don't, put the correct ingredients into it, it could be bland. I've had bland spaghetti. Like these are facts. The spaghetti that we had, it wasn't like just your typical spaghetti like you get at a calf,
Nah, it wasn't. So first thing you have to do is you have to first figure out what your budget is, right? And then you figure out. So we were broke college students. So to make spaghetti, everybody's thinking, oh, you just need sauce, spaghetti. We would put ground beef in there. So it'd be sauce, the spaghetti, ground beef. You saute the ground beef, you season it really, really, really well. We season it, then we put in the great value, just because great value was cheaper than the Prego or the Ragu, right? And then because it's great value, it's not the best season, so you gotta put more seasoning on top of it. So we would do that, 2-3 jars. We'd put it in there. Mind you, I think at the time, it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and I think we had up to 6 people staying there.
That's true.
So you had to let the spaghetti stretch. So you would do all of that, and you would say, okay, put the spaghetti with the spaghetti sauce. Simple. But one thing Earl Juke kind of put me on is Earl would add shredded cheese and then ranch on top of the spaghetti sauce.
There we go.
That just changed the game.
There we go.
Changed the game. Up until now, I still put shredded cheese on my macaroni and on my spaghetti because of that. I cannot eat it without shredded cheese on top.
Listen, man, that was like my go-to meal, like before I became like a vegan. Like that was it.
Okay, I'm vegetarian.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been vegan for a couple of years now, and I mean, I feel good. I feel real good. So, from Arlington, Texas.
Yep.
How did you get all the way to Nashville, Tennessee? Like, what made you come to Vandy?
Funny enough, I played high school football in Arlington, and there was a player 2 years above me that went to Vanderbilt. So that's how Vanderbilt kind of came on my radar. I wanted to play in the SEC. One of the things that my mom stressed is like, you got to go to school out of state. So none of the schools in state were in question. So saw Vandy, knew a little bit more about it than other people, just because we didn't really come up in the social media age. So internet was just kind of popping off. So a lot of things you learned were through hearsay. So through talking to my former high school teammate, found out about Vanderbilt, and then that's just how it all went from there.
So a lot of people, hear about Vanderbilt now through social media. Number 2 ranked best looking campus, number 14th ranked academics. What was like the one place on campus that you really enjoyed, that's like a gem to you, right? Like that one place that's like, oh man. So for me, it was the pub. Like the
Okay.
pub was like that one spot,
Okay.
like I love their wings. They had like the quesadilla, and it was kind of like a
It did.
bar scene. But I couldn't, I don't drink, but then you couldn't drink
Yeah.
because like you was underage, but it still gave you that feel, and you were still on campus. Like, what's a gym on campus that you can
If
name?
there's a gym, I was Peabody, and Peabody in the spring is a whole vibe,
Yeah,
right? Just
yeah.
walking there, sometimes just I would, we didn't really have the luxury because we already had practice or workouts, but just walking by and seeing everybody just relax, laying out on the lawn, reading, you'd see groups. There'd be like some occasions where the professor would be like, what's nice outside? Let's just have class outside. And it would just be so refreshing. Those were like some of the few moments I was like, oh, okay, wow, this is kind of dope.
Yeah,
That would be one. And then here's another one. Branscombe on a Friday night, just because that's where everybody
that was
just,
crazy.
right?
That used to be
Everybody
crazy.
it used to be crazy. That's where everybody would just kind of do the debrief of what they got into on Friday. So that was a good one. So I would say it would probably be those two. Yeah, those would be those two.
I can recall when I finally got moved into my dorm, because I stayed in Vanderbilt, and they were like, "Hey, what are we doing tonight?" I was like, "Oh, we just gonna chill at Branscombe." I was like, "All right, cool." I had no idea, like the level of intensity that
Oh,
was actually about to like occur. I'm talking about you could barely like get into the Munchie Mart. That's how packed
oh,
it
yeah.
was in there.
Oh,
And
oh, yeah.
people were just like out in the halls, like playing music. It was just a different vibe, man.
I don't even know if they could do that now. Right? Like it was just pure debauchery, right? Just
It
pure. I
was.
mean, everything was above board, but I mean, not a care in the world. Everybody was just doing whatever, right? I mean, it's almost like it's hard to put into like it's almost like I wish people would have had like a hidden video camera. Even with the sound off, it would be entertaining. Just all the
Yeah.
things you see. 2 o'clock in the morning in the Munchie Mart. Oh man, all types of poor purchases people were making.
And what's cool about this is just the brotherhood, right? Like I
Mhm.
haven't had the interaction with you like face to face or virtually in probably what 6 years, 7 years, something like
Yeah,
that.
6, 7 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's been a while, and we connect, and then it's just like we pick right back up where we left off at, and I
Hmm.
think that's attributed to just the Vanderbilt brotherhood that is established here, and a lot of great things that happen over in the Dud.
Yeah.
What's one of your fondest memory of playing over in Vandy Stadium?
Oh man, that's a good question. Fondest memory.
Because I remember a couple of interceptions that you had, but
Yeah, that was.
this
I would
is
say
you.
LSU. When we played LSU, it was your freshman year, my senior year,
Yep.
and I think first half. I mean, we were going back at it, and we were
Mhm.
just. I mean, just to see. That's when we started off. I think it was maybe 4-0 or 4-1
Yeah.
at that point in time, and
Hmm.
I mean, the stadium was rocking. Like, I mean, just playing. Something about Nashville. It's not the biggest stadium, but because it's Nashville, it
Yeah.
just has a different feel, right? Like
Hmm.
in a big city like Nashville, there are all these people there, everybody's screaming. I would say the LSU game was a big one. I'm just trying to think. Oh man, I would say maybe my sophomore year, my first game starting when we played against Eli Manning.
Mm.
That was a big one. That's one that I remember because that was just my first game. I remember I got a sack in the first half. And like the first game you start, there is no feeling like I remember there used to be a saying we used to tell you like it gets real in the field. And you're like, I don't know
Yeah.
what that means. But when you get out there, the type of emotions that you get, it's unmatched, right? It's nervousness, like adrenaline, everything, right? And everything just happens just like that. And it's funny that even years later, you can remember certain plays, everything that happened to a T. It's really, really wild.
Yeah. My first game, the first two games that we played Wake Forest my freshman year. That was on the road. Then we
Mhm.
came back. We went to Arkansas, played them on the road, beat them. And then the first game that we played at Dudley was Ole Miss. And that was like, like, man, this is like crazy, like to be playing in a stadium.
Mhm.
It's like people like supporting you.
Yeah.
Playing in Birmingham, it'd be a couple hundred people, maybe,
Yeah.
But then I have like a stadium that's like yours that, it is very intimate.
Mhm.
It's a different feeling, and something that, I still walk in there and I get goosebumps. It's like,
Oh,
man,
man.
I remember I called a pass right here on this
Mhm.
yard line. I remember that pass interference in the middle of the field. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you
Or
get
it's
back
the
and
routine,
you
or it's even the routine pregame when you walk out on the
oh
stage.
yeah.
Just the little things, right? Like even
Hmm.
the 11:30 game and
Yeah.
7:30, like, man, in 4 hours, I'm gonna be playing, right? Wake up, right? It's just the fact that you can't even really eat a heavy meal for
Right.
breakfast because you're just so nervous.
Yeah.
Little things like that, like it flies by like that, but these are memories that you'll never ever forget.
Absolutely. And we touched on it earlier. Vanderbilt's ranked number 14 nationally academics. I mean, you're killing it now. You got your own eyewear.
Yes.
You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
How did Vandy prepare you for your career post football?
Um, Two levels. I think one thing Vanderbilt does, it teaches you the value of hard work, right? You're going to work hard. And one thing about hard work, they can never take it away from you.
Yeah.
That's one thing about it. And then secondly, Vanderbilt also kind of taught you that if you can compete at Vanderbilt, you can compete against anybody, right?
Yep.
Um, you hear the numbers, number 14. For some people, it can be pretty intimidating, right?
Yep.
For me, it was a little intimidating, but once you get your bearings and you kind of figure out how things work, uh, it equips you to where you can go into meetings and you feel confident that, oh, okay, I belong here, right? So that's one of the things. And once you have that Vanderbilt stamp, you'd be amazed whenever you tell people the way they raise their eyebrows. It's almost like, oh, like it's almost like, oh,
Yeah.
it's almost like they're trying to cheat you. It's like, all right, I gotta come correct because this is the Vandy grad. It's something that really matters. I think just because whenever you're doing business deals, a lot of it is just about, feeling a person out. People only try things they think they can get away with. And I think with that Vanderbilt degree, people, I think, have a tendency to at least, come at you a certain way as opposed to other ways.
Yeah. So tell the people, what are you doing now? What you currently have your hands in?
Man, I currently, like, my passion project right now is I started my own eyewear line. It's Lechi Eyewear. It's basically eyewear that caters to diverse faces. The way it kind of came about, my mom is an optometrist, so I grew up around the eyewear industry. So one of the things I always noticed was that with a lot of eyewear, a lot of it doesn't fit well. So a lot of times I would hear people say, "Hey, I like glasses, but it's hard to find a pair of glasses to fit on my face well." So I said, okay, let me figure out how this happens or why this happens. Figured out that a lot of the glasses are made in China. So let me go straight to the source. So 5 years ago, I started going to China,
Hmm.
meeting with manufacturers, talking to distributors, figuring out the process. And 5 years later, multiple trips later, trips to Hong Kong, Japan, meeting with just various manufacturers. This is what we have. So really what we do is we're an online retailer where you can get your prescription made. Just kind of think of us as kind of like the Black-owned Warby Parker. We do
Yeah.
the same thing. If you go on our website, you can get glasses in a prescription, different types of lenses, and all of that. So that's what I am currently working on, which is my passion project.
That's awesome. Now, how do you spell it out for? What's the
Yeah,
website?
so it's www.lechi eyewear, Lechi eyewear.com. And you can find us at Instagram at Lechi, Lechi eyewear. Yeah, Twitter as well, Facebook, all of that.
There it is. Hey, before you go, all right, I had this conversation with a former student athlete, and we talked about how you're basically like the king of providing people with nicknames, right?
I,
Like
yes.
you are that guy,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you for giving me the
Like
props. Yes.
we talk about slick puller, right?
Oh man.
Duran Cooper,
Remember
right?
you yeah.
and then and then we go to Daron Speed Turbo, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you gave him that, then me, Juke,
Duke,
right?
Reverend Deacon.
Reverend, like how did this come about?
I
Like
don't
what? How did it start?
I don't know. I think I have to pay homage to, before I came up, there were the DB room, everybody had to have a nickname, right? So everybody just kind of had started having the nickname. And it's just something that kind of came about. Sometimes nicknames are more spontaneous than others, right? So for instance, Reverend Deacon, the reason why he has the nickname that he has is because during his visit, he showed up in a suit. So he's like, oh, you're dressed like Reverend Deacon, right? So that's how that one came. I'm trying to think of another one. Rashard Langford, Scud.
Yeah, Scud, yeah.
That one came because he would just go full speed ahead. Like, your nickname Juke was, man, this is kind of to date ourselves. We didn't grow up in the streaming era. We grew up in the CD era. Absolutely. So you had to listen to every album. We didn't get to pick singles. You digested albums. The way albums come out every Friday, I just can't keep up with the music. But I really, 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 really love music. I know music. And I would be playing songs and Earl would know every song. I was like, wow, he knows a song. We start talking about music and I would stump him with the song. He was like, oh yeah, I know these people. And I'm like, okay, he's a jukebox. So that's where we went with Juke, because he knew every song that we came up, and he was younger than us. So I was like, oh wow, like, how does he know this person? And it was just kind of that thing to where, like, any mixtape, any album, he would know some of the B-sides. Like, now kids just get to listen to the single. But with us, you have to go through and listen to the whole album, right? Like, I don't think they understand. That's how I can, for instance, Lil Wayne the Carter, I can know every single word to every song on the album because I just listened to it on repeat, right? I didn't have the luxury of picking the singles or going to Apple and it'd be a playlist. I had to digest and go through everything. So that's how the nicknames came about.
Man, that's great. Wait, it's been a pleasure having you on today, man. And you know, let's not make it be this long next time, but I definitely appreciate you. And we got to get you around the program when this pandemic lifts.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.